Hi everyone, this is HP Fashions GY. In today's tutorial, we'll be learning on how to cut and sew a corset top, a trendy corset top. Okay, so this is my shoulder line. Yeah, this is my shoulder line. I'm using shoulder of 16. Okay, my armhole depth here is 8.5. 8.5. It's actually an off shoulder corset top. Then my bust measurement here is 40 plus extra 2.5 inches sewing allowance. Alright, then my half length is 16.5. Alright, so this is my shoulder measurement. My half length here is 16.5. I've marked it and I've inserted my waist measurement as well. Alright, with extra 2.5 inches sewing allowance. So I'm making a connection now from the waist measurement to the bust measurement, and from the bust to the shoulder, armhole and shoulder measurement. Okay, alright, so this is what I have. So I'm trying to mark the armhole line. Okay, so at this moment I'll be marking a depth of 8 for the back, then on the armhole side 6.5. So I'll make a connection down there. I removed the back first before the front. Alright, so the length of the back neckline is 8 inches, and from the armhole side is 6.5. Right, so I'll just go ahead and trace it out. I just cut it out as if I'm adding a yoke. So I've placed it on the front. So I had to take the 6.5. I ruled the line using 6.5 all through. So I'll just trace it out and cut it. So I'm definitely not using the back neckline for the front. So the minus I'm making for the front is just 6.5. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and take this armhole out. Okay, then I'll keep this aside. Alright, then for the down part, everything all together is 13.5. Then I will mark 4.5. Alright, then extend it, mark 9 inches. From 4.5, I extend it to the other side and mark 9 inches. Then I take my full length measure. My full length is 23. So I plus 1 inch sewing allowance. So I mark 22 because I'll be making a minus curve. The minus curve is 22. Alright, but the initial measurement is 23 plus 1 inch sewing allowance, which is 24. Okay, so I'll just connect this curve together and raise the side up as well. Then I'll go ahead and trim this out. Go ahead and trim the traced side out. Right, I'll just follow the shape I have. Alright, I'm cutting both the front and the back all together. Okay, so at this moment now, I'll just go ahead and divide the zipper allowance for the back, but this time around I'm using an eyelet, not a zip. It will have a rope at the back. So I'm making a minus of 7 inches for the front. Alright, 7 inches. Then the underbust, the initial underbust is 14 inches, but I'll be using 13.5. I'm coming up by ½ inch for a better lifting. Okay, I'm marking 13.5. That's what I will use. The initial one is 14, but I'm using 13.5. So I'm marking a middle of 0.2, not up to 1 inch. 0.2. Alright, I'll mark it all the way down. 0.2. Then the wideness of the bust, I'll be using 6.5. 6.5 for the wideness. 6.5. Then I will get the middle point, which is 3.5. 3.2. Then I'm making my connection right now from the middle. Everything will meet at the middle, just a round curve. Okay, after that I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to cut it out. All right, so I'll take this measurement all the way down using 3.5.2. That's what I will mark, 3.5.2 all the way down. Afterwards I'll just go ahead and divide it. Okay, all right, this is what we have right now for the front. So I'll fold my fabric into 4 because I'm getting the 4 at once for the cup. All right, so I'll just take this line, then I'll minus my under bust, but this time around I'm using 13.5. I'll come up by ½ inch. The initial under bust is 11, 10.5 and 10, but at this moment now I'll be using 9.5, 9.5, 10 as the under bust. That's what I'll be using. The original under bust is 11, 10.5 and 10, but I'll be using 9, 9.5 and 10. Then I'll add extra 2-inch allowance to the initial measurement of this. I'll be minusing 1.5 inches from under and on top. Then I'll add up 4 inches by the side. Then make a curve. Make a curve like a curve. I'll make a curve on the breast point, on the nipple point. Then also make this curve. Okay. All right. So this is the 1.5 inches I've minused. All right. So I'll just go ahead and cut it off. All right. So after minusing my under bust, I got 7. Then I added extra 2-inch allowance on top, which is 5 inches. Okay, so after sewing, if there's any excess, I will just go ahead and trim it off. All right, so at this point now, this is my bust point. I'll just go ahead and turn up the side. All right, so I'll be using a hard breast pad for this. All right, I'll go ahead and cut it into 4, which I already did. Then I'll place the bust point to the bust point, the curve for the bust point. My main fabric will be in between the breast pad. Then I'll just sew at the tip of it using ½ inch. All right, this is what I have already. This is my bust point, my bust curve. Okay, this is for the second one. All right, so when I spread open, this is what I got. It has made a cup for us already. This is what I got. It made a very nice cup. I'll just go ahead and iron it. Then place this for the front. Place the under bust line and sew with ½ inch. All right, I'm going to connect it with ½ inch. Mind you, you're sewing from the top, not from the bottom. All right, you make your connection from the top, which is from the under bust line. You make a connection down, all the way down. I'll just go ahead and spread this open and iron it. Okay, I'll iron it from the under and to the front. All right, so this is for the front. Just go ahead and give it a nice press on this line. All right, so I've ironed it. All right, we've ironed it. This is how it looks like. So I also took my middle line measurement, and I've also ironed my cup as well. All right, so at this point now, I'll be adding a black bias to my middle line, which I created with a hot iron. I'll add a bias to the middle line, not only to the middle, to also the side. All right, so I will go ahead and sew at the tip of the bias, and I'll also ensure that this bias is actually at the middle of the line provided. Okay, so I'll go ahead and sew this all the way down. All right, this is how it looks like. All right, so I'll shift from the underbust joining line by 1.5 inches. You can also use 2 for it. Then I'll place the black bias at that point and I'll sew it. Okay, and I'll also repeat the same thing on the other side as well. All right, so I'll go ahead and sew it from the underbust joining line. Just mark 1.5 inches or either 2, then sew. Then from the underbust line to 2 inches is the distance. So I've placed my middle to the cup. This is exactly how I'm going to join it. Okay, so right now I'm securing my cup with a pin on how I'm going to sew it. All right, remember I added extra allowance to this cup. Definitely I'm going to shift my measurements inside because the wideness of this cup, we took 6.5, so we want exactly 6.5 or at most 7. It shouldn't be more than that. Okay, so since we added extra allowance, we'll just have to sew and get at most 7 inches is perfect for this. Okay, so we'll just shift it inside a little and secure with our pin. It will not be equal, like I said. All right, because I did not trim out the excess allowance before sewing. Okay, so at this moment now, if it's okay, we'll just go ahead and secure it with our machine. Mind you, the joining side should face the joining side. They have to really face their self for a proper result. Okay, all right, so right now I'll go ahead and secure. I'm sewing from my fabric. I'm not sewing from the cup. All right, so I'm sewing from the fabric. I'm not sewing from the cup. Okay, all right, so this is it. So I'll go ahead and measure. It has to be 7 inches. So I secured with the pin. On this part is 6 inches, 6.5 inches. It's not nice. I'll have to readjust it. All right, while on this point is 7 inches. Okay, so this is what we want. So I'll readjust this to at most 7 inches. Six and a half, 7 inches at most. All right, so I'll go ahead and secure this with my hand, with my machine. I'll go ahead and sew it round and round. Mind you, like I said, the joining side should always face the joining side. Okay, it has to really face, they have to really face themselves for a proper result. All right, so I will go ahead and take up all the pins out while I sew. This is what we have. After sewing, this is what you should have. And I've also trimmed my excess allowance. Mind you, there's excess allowance on the top. I'll just go ahead and trim them off, and I've trimmed them off already. Okay, so this is how it looks like. I've trimmed them off already. So I'll just go ahead and iron it carefully, and right now I'll attach my lining to it. So I use my lining, I got my lining exactly the same shape. So I'll use my lining to turn it the down and the up, to turn both the down and the up. Afterwards, I'll give it a very nice press. Okay, all right, this is how the front and the up and the down looks like. So I've turned it, but I've not ironed it yet. This is how it looks like. So I'll just go ahead and give it a very nice press. All right, so I've ironed it at this point. So we'll just go ahead and add our bias again at the tip of the down. All right, go ahead and add the bias at the tip of the down part. This bias should be both at the front and at the back as well, okay? But this video is basically for the front. All right, so you just take the shape of the dress, use the bias to follow the shape. All right, if you find this video very helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, comment. Don't forget to turn up your notification button so that whenever we post a video, you also get notifications. This is HP Fashions GY. All right, so don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share the video. Okay, this is it. Yeah. All right, so this is what we have. Now I'll just go ahead and sew the other part. It has to be neat, okay? Ensure it's very, very neat. All right. Okay. All right, so this is what we have at this point. All right, so this is what it looks like. This is the cup. All right, so I'll just go ahead and shape it, then attach my sleeve to it, okay? So don't forget to like, subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right, so this is how it looks like. I'll just go ahead and attach my sleeve. I've shaped it. This is how the back also looks like. All right, this is the cup. It's actually not my size. It's not for me. I would have tried it on for you to see the final result. All right, thanks for watching. See you. Bye.